In today's topic, we will be discussing the Crusades, or a series of holy wars for the land of Jerusalem. Before the Crusades, the Roman Empire had existed, but remember, the Roman Empire had expanded to be too large, and when it split in half, it was easy for it to fall apart. The Byzantine Empire was constantly being taken over by the Seljuk Turks, who were the Muslims. Muslims had taken over much of the Middle East, which is now known as the Holy Land, to Christians because it was where Jesus was born. In order to get the land back, the Pope had suggested a series of holy wars, or crusades, which is a series of military campaigns to establish Christian control over the Holy Land. Again, the Holy Land is located in Jerusalem, which is by present-day Israel today. And the reason why the Christians want this land is because that is where Jesus Christ was from. So why would a pope call for a war? Well, his goal was for the Crusades to protect the Christians who wished to visit the Holy Land. In 1095, Pope Urban II called to free the Holy Land and used soldiers of Christ to free Jerusalem from the Turks, again, which were the Muslims. People who participated in the Crusades often sewed crosses into their clothing, and since they were fighting in Jesus' name, they would be forgiven of their sins, which included killing people during the war. Remember, killing people is against the Christian religion. But it was okay for them to kill people in the Crusades because they were doing it in the name of Jesus Christ. When the First Crusade began, the first group of people to leave and fight were mostly peasants. Most were killed before even reaching the Holy Land because they were untrained. When the other Crusades continue, they will mostly use knights who were trained in warfare. The First Crusade is still considered a military success even with all the death that occurred because they took many of the Muslim kingdoms by surprise, and by 1099 the European Crusaders had captured Jerusalem. Now this could have been the end of the Holy Wars, but the Muslims were not eager to give up that land. The Second Crusade began in 1144 when Muslims started attacking Crusader states that were established after the First Crusade. The Second Crusade is considered a failure for the Europeans because the leaders did not get along and were never able to gain local support due to disrespect from each other as well as the peasants and people fighting for them. The Muslims were able to then recapture Jerusalem due to the disorganization of the European Crusade armies. In order to get Jerusalem back from the Muslims' hands, the Third Crusade, which was also known as the Crusade of the Kings, was launched in 1189 by the kings of England and France. King Richard the Lionheart from England signed a truce or a ceasefire with Saladin, the Muslim leader. In their agreement, they made it so Christian travelers or pilgrims were free to travel and that the Muslims would respect Crusader lands. In this agreement, they also decided that Jerusalem would belong to the Muslims. The agreement didn't last long as the Fourth Crusade will be launched by Pope Innocent to regain the Holy Land. However, the Crusaders will never be able to reach it because many of the fighters were looting Christian cities along the way. Fighting will go on for many, many years to regain this land, but the Europeans will never be successful in regaining the Holy Land from the Muslims. This was mostly due to the fact that there will be a Protestant Reformation and the church will be split. The Crusades had a great effect and impact on European society and culture during the Middle Ages. Christians started persecuting anyone who did not hold the same beliefs about Jesus. The primary group attacked in these persecutions was the Jewish community, because they would not convert to Christianity. Jews do not believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God like Christians do. Anyone considered a heretic was also persecuted by the Christians. Heresy is a belief that is rejected by official church teaching, so anything against the Bible would be considered heresy. In the 1200s, Pope Gregory IX created something called the Inquisition to judge the heretics, and those who did not cooperate were punished. The Inquisition was a series of investigations designed to find heretics or non-Christians. Heretics were often tortured and often imprisoned. Some positive effects of the Crusades was that it encouraged Europeans to explore different parts of the world. Many Europeans would travel into Asia for the first time. It also opened up more trade with the East and made the Silk Road popular in China once again.